Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie, with my rant of the day. So you seem to be enjoying these rants of the day. Thank you so much. All of you that have watched them, liked them, subscribed. All of you members out there, thank you so much for being my member. All of you sent me supers, Ko-fis, or PayPal me, or supported my channel in any way. Thank you so much, because I really couldn't do it without you. Now, I was going to do two rants today in one. I was going to do the King's Speech, which we had yesterday, and I was also going to cover what I'm going to do in this video, which is the sad story of Captain Tom and how his legacy has been totally trashed by his awful daughter. So as soon as I started getting into the Captain Tom thing, it's led to, like everything does, leads to other things that I want to bring to your attention. And it's just got, it's going to be a long video as it is. So I'm going to save the King's Speech till tomorrow for the rant of the day tomorrow. Now, of course, we all remember Captain Tom, don't we? Let's get some photos of him up in the background while I just give you a background of him. For those of you, there may be some of you in other countries that are watching who don't know about him. But I don't know if the news went all over the world or not. I don't know, but it was big news, wasn't it, in Great Britain? Because during COVID, this little old guy, Captain Tom, he's now Sir Captain Tom because he's been knighted, which he deserves. And believe me, I don't believe in the honour system really, but sometimes you see somebody who receives an honour that I think they have deserved it, because not only he deserved it for the sort of for what he did during COVID and this little walk around the garden that he did for charity, though where the money went, I'm not happy with. But anyway, I'm going to talk about that. But just the fact that that's not his fault. He did it because he felt it was a good thing to do. He'd had an accident. He was recovering from his accident and he needed rehabilitation. That's how it started. Apparently his grandson said to him he would give him so much for every lap around the garden he did. And then, of course, it grew and it became picked up by local news, then national news. And it started off this massive charity. Everybody was giving money, weren't they? Not me, because I never give to big charities. That's just something that I never do, because you're just paying the CEO's wages, which you will if you donated to this charity. So what makes me really angry about this is he was doing this for the National Health Charity, which is called, let's see, NHS Charities Together. And when did that start? When did that start? Why does NHS is not a charity? The NHS is funded by the government, is funded by the British public who pay money into this system all their lives. What's the NHS Charities Together? So if we just have a little look at their website, the NHS Charities Together Legacy, write a forever thank you into your will. Ways to get involved. Oh God, this Omaze house prize draw. I've seen that on the telly. I didn't realise that was, you can win a house. So they must have a lot of money if they can put a house up as the power of a monthly gift. Start yours today. The COVID appeal progress report. Hackney Half Marathon. Donate to show your support. Partner with us. Support your favourite NHS charity. What NHS charity? Personally, I only ever I give quite a bit to charity, but I give to small charities, individuals that I know. I don't give to these I'm not paying CEO's massive wage. Talking of which, let's meet the team. Ellie Orton, OBE. She received an OBE for her services to the NHS. She hasn't done any services to the NHS. She's been paid a fortune for running the NHS Charities Together. You cannot find her wage anywhere. Honest to God, I've been looking to find. Somebody asked under the Freedom of Information Act what her wage was and have received no answer. Nobody knows what she's earning. Yeah. So I don't see that working for a charity and earning maybe £250,000 a year, that's a small amount, believe me, for a CEO. I don't see how that is services, not when you're being paid that massive amount. Services to the NHS surely was maybe what Captain Tom did, what people do every day, not earning this big fortune. So what do you think about that? I mean, I did a video on what CEOs of these massive charities earn, and then, you know, they can earn up to £450,000 a year. So when you donate your hard-earned money, I mean, this is what makes me really angry, because, you know, and I'm not angry with Tom because he was doing it with the best will in the world. But when people donate money, the people that donate money are normally people who haven't got that much money. They might donate £10 here or £5, which to them is a massive amount of money, because they're probably, especially during COVID, etc., or in these days with the cost of living crisis that they keep telling us about, there's no spare money, is there? Nobody's got any spare money, or not much, and or not many people. And what people were doing then during COVID, they were giving the bits and pieces of money that they maybe had to this charity, to this woman, to sustain her lifestyle. Now, I'm sure she's got lots of high ideals or whatever, maybe she has, but she has not, to get an OBE for services to the NHS. She hasn't been serving the NHS. She's been a very well paid employee of a charity that was supporting the NHS, but who knows how it really supports. Yeah, donate here. I mean, you know, it's all about getting money out of people. So I just wanted to show you that. We'll go back to Captain Tom because I'd rather look at him. Bless him. So I've got a lot of respect for Captain Tom, what he did, and you know, one thing I do think is I expect he really enjoyed the last sort of couple of years of his life, which is great, because he was well, he was 100, wasn't he, or 99, and you know, it's fantastic that he got on the telly, he got knighted. He went on holiday to Barbados, but that's a bit of a moot point. We're going to talk about that later. They took him on holiday to Barbados. There were a lot of things. So maybe a lot of you don't know where the controversy came to. So after he died, bless him, his daughter, this is his daughter, she set up this Captain Tom's Foundation. Now, Tom has two daughters. And when I look at this woman, I don't know, there's something about, oh, look, this is Captain Tom when he was young, bless him. Bless him. Keep him reading his own book. I mean, he was a real sweetheart. You could see that he was. There he is, being knighted by the Queen. Of course, both of them are not with us anymore. So I expect they're having a good old chat up there somewhere. Bless him. Oh. I mean, he did have some good times. I expect he loved being knighted. He probably loved his holiday in Barbados. But you know what? This daughter, I don't know about you, but I always get this impression or this vision in my head. Let me just find her name, because I've forgotten her name. Now, he has two daughters. The other daughter is very, very quiet. You know, I haven't heard anything. Oh, Hannah Ingram Moore and her husband, Colin. Oh, so he has another daughter, Lucy Teixeira. Sounds like she's married somebody foreign. Let's just have a look at her, actually, because I know absolutely nothing about her. Looks like she's a homeopath. Oh, in Reading and Caversham. That's interesting because I used to live in, she's a registered homeopath. Now I know, let's have a look at this actually. This is his other daughter, Lucy. She's a registered homeopath in Reading and Caversham. Now I notice here on her website, which is, yeah, she's not saying, oh, I'm Sir Captain Tom's daughter, is she? Which is good. So she's not using his name, unlike the other one who did, of course. So the other daughter, Hannah Ingram Moore, this is the bad daughter, if you like. Though he did live with her. So I don't know. Anyway, to me, this tale, it reminds me of, if you've ever read or seen the Shakespeare play, King Lear. You know, and King Lear was an elderly king and he had his three daughters, Regan, Goneril and Cordelia, and they betrayed him and they didn't treat him very nicely. And this just reminds me of it because, I'll tell you why. Because I just imagine that in between his rounds around the garden, he was probably shoved in. I just have these visions of him being just shoved in a room, like sit there and be quiet. And then when the TV cameras were going round, or, you know, it was time to do his next walk, he'd be, come on, you know, keep walking, prodding him with a stick or whatever. There's just something really quite distasteful about this woman. And I remember feeling it, you know, before he died, because he was all over the telly, he was all over Good Morning Britain, you know, Piers Morgan was all over them, and you know, it was all like, you'll remember Captain Tom and his little walks, and it kept people going. I mean, it was nice because it was like a positive thing, wasn't it, in COVID, when we were all like really depressed because we couldn't go out and couldn't do anything. Couldn't see our families, etc. We were terrified of getting ill. There was little Tom, you know, going round his garden, and it did cheer people up, I think. But as I say, I think a lot of people donated their hard-earned money to that charity just to sustain the CEO, in my eyes. I just remember thinking at the time, since when has the NHS been a charity? You know, and where has that money gone? Because now they're still telling us that the NHS is in crisis. So what it actually has that money helped? Anyway, Hannah, through her father, became a little bit of a celebrity herself, didn't she? And there was this thing when she went to Wimbledon. This is her at Wimbledon. You know, where everyone started applauding her and she's standing up like, you know, a rock star or something. I mean, maybe she should have thought on a little bit about that, because it was about Tom, not about her. And she sort of made it a little bit about her. Anyway, then they took him off to Barbados on holiday. And we're going to look at, she was interviewed by Piers Morgan on his Piers Morgan Uncensored, and we're going to look at that video. Now, I sort of remember at the time, but maybe I'm wrong, because I thought it was Piers that actually took them on holiday, or certainly maybe paid for that holiday to Barbados. I remember that at the time it being talked about, but I can't find anything on that now, so I could be completely wrong. But let me know if you remember. But he doesn't mention anything about, in his interview with her, he does not mention anything about the fact it was him who paid for it. But somebody paid for it, because it was a free holiday, or certainly the you know, the actual flights and everything were free. And they went off to Barbados. And unfortunately, when they came back, it transpired that Tom had silent pneumonia, whatever that was. And he then contracted COVID, and he sadly died of COVID, really, or complications from COVID. So there was a lot of criticism aimed at the family for taking him to Barbados. But, you know, at the end of the day, he was very old. I mean, he was 100, I think, by then. So, you know, it's not unknown for, you know, what they're supposed to do, stop living or... So I don't know, you know, I just hope he enjoyed his holiday in Barbados. That's all I'll say. So then Tom died, bless him. Now the controversy has all started with the Sir Captain Tom Foundation, or whatever it's called, because it's said that this daughter, Hannah, she must be like the Regan or the Goneril of the daughters, like the nasty daughter. This is where it reminds me of King Lear. She then set up the Captain Tom Foundation, or Sir Tom Foundation, in his name, and she gave herself a really good job, although she says she didn't give it herself. She gave herself a fantastic job with a fantastic salary from this foundation, and she then built a spa in the grounds of it. I mean, they've got a big house somewhere, and they built a spa. And they originally said that this place was going to be like a... well, let's have a look. I think they said it was going to be a sort of like a place, a memorial place for Tom, where people could go and see all these medals or whatever, or anything to do with Sir Tom, Captain Tom. But somewhere along the line, it turned into a spa, a swimming pool and a spa. And somehow this got noticed. I'm not sure who it got noticed by. That makes me wonder, did the other sister have did she say anything about this? You know, the other sister has been very quiet. As far as I know, she's not spoken out at all. Suddenly, they've got this massive spa in their back garden with a swimming pool, etc. Then they tried to backtrack a little bit and said, oh, well, the intention was that 2 days out of the week, it'd be available to be used by disabled people, etc. I don't think that ever really happened. You know, it all got out of hand and people got angry about it, and aspersions were cast on the daughter, saying that, you know, she was... what's the word, abusing his memory almost, or certainly hijacking it, you know, to her own advantage, that everything really was for Tom. It should be for Tom. And that what did she do? You know, it was all about him, and people didn't want to donate money for her to put a spa in her garden. Okay. This is her son. Her son always seems to get involved, and it's quite strange. Whenever you see her, she's with her son. This is her husband. Maybe they're just there for moral support, but the whole family sort of... Anyway, so now, gosh, so there was an inquiry into this charity. But apparently the money that was donated to NHS Charities Together, that's not part of the inquiry, even though they became trustees of the charity in February 2021. Let's just have I mean, it's a bit of a convoluted situation, isn't it? Let's see if we can have a little summary of the actual situation. So, the Captain Tom Foundation was the charity that she set up. Let's look at this. Here he is. Here's Tom with his medals, because he had fought in the war as well. So, yeah, all soldiers, I think, should receive maybe an OBE or whatever. Maybe that, rather than these idiot politicians who do nothing. So an order to demolish an unapproved home spire is the latest twist to the tale. So this was a couple of, when was this? Oh, this was in October, 17th of October, so it's not that long ago. But anyway, the news is that the spire has been ordered to be demolished. So I'll just give you that spoiler alert as we read through this. So the charity has closed the donations amid an ongoing inquiry into its finances. So Captain Sir Tom Moore won the hearts of the country and later a knighthood from the Queen, walking laps of his garden to raise money for the NHS. I do worry why none of the journalists have picked up and just said, why would anyone have to raise money for the NHS? A government organisation, but never mind. He started off with 100 laps of his garden in April 2020 and went on to raise more than 30 million for the NHS as it battled the pandemic. I want to know where that £30 million went. Did that go on PPE from Boris Johnson's mates like Michelle Mone and, Matt Hancock's mates, that they gave them all contracts? People made fortunes out of COVID. And is this where that money went that Tom raised? It went to pay for these contracts and then there was a test and trace that never worked properly. Dido Harding, nobody talks about her now. Where is she? What happened to her? All the money she got, all these people that were made rich. Well, people, little guys like Tom tried to raise money because he wasn't the only one, there was a few. Anyway, his family set up the charity in June 2020 and Sir Tom died in February 2021 at the age of 100. So the Charity Commission first opened a case into the charity in March 2021 over its accounts, which showed in the first year only 160,000 was given away in charitable grants, while 240,000 was spent on management and fundraising costs. So they expanded it to a statutory inquiry in June 2022 after becoming concerned about arrangements between the charity and a company linked to Sir Tom's daughter, Hannah Ingram Moore, and her husband, Colin. Oh my God, they were counting the money, weren't they? They were like, cha-ching. In the charity's first year, more than £54,000 was reimbursed to two companies controlled by the Ingram Moores, called Club Nook Limited and Matrix Group Limited. Concerns were also raised about the trustees' decision-making and how the charity was governed. So the money raised for the NHS by Sir Tom's walking was donated to NHS Charities Together and is not part of the scope of the inquiry. Well, that should be another inquiry where the money from that charity is going. So Hannah and her husband became trustees of the charity in February 2021, although she only stayed in the post for 6 weeks. And in July 2021, the Charity Commission stepped in to stop the foundation from employing her as chief executive on a salary of £100,000 a year. That's a low salary for a chief executive. And the charity said the proposed salary, but by the way, it wasn't a full-time job. It wasn't a full-time. It was only a couple of days a week. And it said the proposed salary was neither reasonable nor justifiable. A month later, it said she could be employed for £85,000 a year, but only on a temporary basis while recruitment was carried out. A new CEO, Jack Gilbert, was appointed in June 2022. God, she must be fuming that her cash cow is sort of gone. So the Charity Commission raised concerns Club Nook Limited potentially profited by trademarking the name Captain Tom without objection from the charity. The name was trademarked for use on beers, wines and spirits, as well as mugs, books and clothing. God, she really is like one of these King Lear daughters, using, you know, her father for her own. You know, the thing is, she is the daughter or one of the daughters. So whatever was in, you know, I don't know how it works out with charities and things, but he wrote books, so I don't know what his instruction was for those books. I mean, what I'm trying to say is, when he died, as his daughter, the two daughters will have inherited, of course, his estate, and so I'm not really sure, but I suppose the problem comes when it's charity, because if he had written books and, you know, that money was going to him privately, or his money was private money, nobody would, you know, say, oh, you can't have your dad's money. But I think the problem is that this was a charity. Supposedly, his instructions were that he wanted to leave a legacy for a charity. Anyway, a charity gin claiming 100% of the profits would go to the Captain Tom Foundation was pulled from sale after concerns were raised that it breached charity law. Otterbeck Distillery was selling £100 bottles of gin and said all profits would go to the charity, but it did not comply with the rule, saying the actual amount was going to charity must be specified. Another thing that I do feel that is a bit, I mean, and I don't get me wrong, I love, well, I'm not that keen on gin, but I like a vodka. I've got, you know, I love alcohol, but it just seems a bit of a funny thing to be selling for a charity that's supposed to be helping the NHS. The amount of people that, you know, end up having to use NHS services because of alcohol abuse, and they're selling £100 bottles of gin. Well, I would never spend £100 on a bottle of gin. I think that's almost obscene, to be honest. You know, a bottle of gin, a bottle of vodka, a bottle of anything, I wouldn't. Would you? I mean, would you spend 100, even if you had the money? Would you? Maybe you would if you thought you were helping a charity, but it just, to me, it just seems almost. Just seems vile to spend £100 on a bottle of gin. You could spend £10 on it, give the other £90 to charity, to a charity of your choice. Anyway, so she has now been told to demolish the spa. So in an unrelated development, planning bosses have said an unauthorised spa at the Ingram Moors home must be demolished. So I think it's this here. So is this their house then? They've got a nice house. And Tom, I think this is their house. And this, I think, is a spa. Anyway, the couple applied in 2021 for permission to build a Captain Tom Foundation building. Now, this is the issue. They called it a Captain Tom Foundation building instead of just saying they were going to build a spa, because they wouldn't have been able to use the money, I suppose, from the charity for that. They wanted to build this on the grounds of their home in Marston, Moretain, Bedfordshire. Plans for the site said it would be used partly in connection with the Captain Tom Foundation and its charitable objectives. Central Bedfordshire Council accepted them. However, they refused, let me just check this is showing, yeah, it is showing, okay. However, they refused a retrospective application in 2022 for a larger building containing a spa pool. Planning bosses at the council said an enforcement notice requiring the demolition of the now unauthorised building was issued, subject to an appeal to the planning inspectorate. In documents submitted in advance of the hearing, the family said the building was no more overbearing than a previously approved planning application, and the heights are the same, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, the upshot of it is they've got to take this spa down. They've got to take it down. Anyway, in fact, the foundation has now closed to donations. Oh, God. You know, people have been donating in good faith to that charity. A statement was posted on the foundation's website in the wake of the Spa news, saying the foundation was not accepting donations. So they're currently not actively seeking funding from donors. They've closed all payment channels while the inquiry remains open. But Captain Tom's daughter said that Tom wanted her to keep the book profits. She admitted keeping £800,000 from the £3 books he wrote before he died, despite the prologue of one of those books saying the money would go to the charity in his name. Thousands of buyers of his 3 books, including the autobiography Tomorrow Will Be a Good Day, were reportedly unaware that the profits were going to his family. You know, it just all stinks, doesn't it? You know, and instead of, I mean, that was sort of, you know, they're his books, you know. I've written books, and I suppose, and not, I mean, you know, my books aren't as popular as Tom's, but I suppose when I'm no longer here, the profits will go to my son. I don't know. I mean, you know, he won't, put it this way, he won't be able to retire on it, but at least, you know, it's a little bit of money coming in. But this is different because these were written for charity, weren't they? They weren't written professionally in the sense of, like, my book's been written to teach people Spanish. I'm still writing now. I'm writing a crime novel, and then of course got my sort of little biography, Confessions of a Spanish Teacher. So it's not like this, and they're not selling like, you know, this is a lot of money we're talking about. She's greedy, I think, because I don't think they're short of money anyway. You know, looking at their house, etc., you don't feel like they were living in a tent, homeless on the streets before all this happened. Hey, Tom, he'd be turning in his grave, bless him. Okay, so that's really the story. Now we're going to look at, now I had prepared some things about the King's speech because I was going to, of course, talk about that, but I won't have time to talk about that as well. Okay, so let's just have a look at this. This is when he was knighted. Oh, and bless the Queen, she's elderly as well there. I mean, she wasn't far off 100, was she, when she died? Wonder if she would have sent a telegram to herself if she would have lived that little bit longer, bless her. So that's just explaining the story again. This was them coming out of the court. Yeah, and this is the son Benji. He's always sort of there as a part of it as well. So when the inspector made the ruling that the spa pool had to be demolished, she said, "I accept that the appellant's intentions are laudable. However, it has not been demonstrated in any detail how all of this would work in practice. In the absence of any substantiated information, I find that the suggested public benefit would therefore not outweigh the great weight to be given to the harm to the heritage asset." So that's what she thought. So basically, they've got to demolish it. Let's have a look at this video with Sky News. We are going to be watching them being interviewed in a moment.
Is this an unauthorized spa in her back garden?
Let me just go back to the beginning. So this is GB News.
It's now iconic. Captain Sir Tom Moore walking 100 laps of his garden, raising millions for charity. By his side was his family, including his daughter Hannah Ingram Moore. But since her father's death, she's come under scrutiny.
Why did you decide to go ahead with the pool, the spa pool, despite not having any planning permission?
There's an ongoing inquiry into the charity she set up in Sir Tom's name. And the latest controversy is this: an unauthorised spa in her.
Now, it's quite ironic because I'm surprised she hasn't come out saying, oh, the media are all, I mean, she does actually go into it a little bit in the Piers Morgan interview I'm going to show, whinging about the media. Oh, we've heard that before, haven't we? Oh, yeah, it was all right when she was raising money and little Tom was wandering around her garden. They were on the telly every 30 seconds, but now oh, no, you can't film me now. Don't want, it's terrible. You're all trolls. And I was thinking about that because they were talking about trolls before, and I thought, it's like my trolls. You're not a troll if you bring something up in a respectful way. You're a troll if you say nasty things. If somebody comes on my channel and says, oh, well, I couldn't even repeat what they say sometimes, but says nasty things, they are a troll. If somebody comes on my channel and says, oh, I just don't agree with that, I think this happened, or I think they're okay to do that, or, you know, I don't think you're right in what you said, that's not being a troll. That's having a healthy debate. Being a troll is when you are actually nasty, accusing somebody specifically of something, you know, if you actually say, oh, you're a this, that, and the other, or I don't know. So there is a difference between healthy debates. Just everyone who disagrees with you is not a troll. Trolls are people who are nasty about the way they talk to you. They use, you know, call you names or make personal comments. Those are trolls. That is different from free speech.
Her back garden. Planning bosses have said it must be demolished, and an appeal by the Ingram Moors has now been rejected. Neighbour Jill Bosdowan used to see this line of trees at the end of her garden. Now, this is her view. Jill's elderly mother lives with her and was devastated when the annex was built.
She's 99, so she'll sit in our family room looking out. Now she's just got this brick wall. I mean, she used to sit out there and cry. So this morning, when I said to her, it's got to be taken down, yeah, she was crying with tears of joy.
The family have said the facilities could be used for rehabilitation sessions for older people, but this suggestion was rejected without.
Don't know about that, do you? It's like she's still got quite a nice view of the one, but I do know. Many years ago, I worked for a charity where I used to visit people at home who. The thing is, they'd have home helps. They were housebound. They would have home helps to help with the cleaning and the practical things. But of course, they never had time to sit and talk to them. So I used to go out with this charity, and, you know, just sit and talk to the people or take their dogs for a walk or, you know, do things the home helps couldn't do. And I used to sit with a lady called Doris Thursby. I still remember her name. I don't know why, because I was literally about 20, so it was many, many years ago. And she was housebound. And she did sort of let me see a lot of things. I still remember some of the things she said. So she would sit at her window and look outside, and there was neighbours that would park their car outside sometimes. And she could not then see what was going on in the little, it was only a cul-de-sac, there wouldn't have been much going on, but she had no view when they parked the car outside. Of course, they wouldn't have done it out of badness. They wouldn't have realised, you know, that how it blocked her view. So I can see that when you're housebound and the only view you do have is from your window or whatever, you know, you want it to be as nice as possible, I suppose.
Detailed evidence of how that would actually work. The Ingram Moors have been told the building must be demolished within 3 months. They could now go to the High Court to appeal that decision. Janice Green is a local parish councillor who wants the annex gone. She thinks all of this has tainted Sir Tom's legacy.
Personally, I think he's turning in his grave.
Why do you say that?
Because it's not what he wanted. The Thomas More Foundation was set up as a charity to do good for the NHS causes, not the NHS itself, but for the other causes.
A story about an inspiring and dedicated veteran that captivated so many has been overshadowed, something Captain Sir Tom would surely never have dreamt of. Becky Cottrell, Sky News, Bedfordshire.
Yeah. So what do you think? Don't forget, as always, let me know what you think in comments. Now, I know, and just going back, what I think it is, I think I've sort of torn a little bit, because I do think at the end of the day, they were, she is Tom's daughter. I think it's funny that the other sister doesn't say anything. I do think she's hijacked his memory, and really, she sort of almost reveled in this celebrity thing. And now, of course, she doesn't want it because, you know, it's negative. It happens every time, doesn't it, with these sort of people, like the McCanns, like in the Nicola Bulley case. They want all the media attention when it suits them, when it's favourable to them. Same with the McCanns. As soon as they realised that the tide of public opinion in Portugal was turning against them, they couldn't wait to get out of there. But before that, you know, the Portuguese people were so sympathetic towards them until they realised that nobody has taken this girl. You know, that is basically what happened. They knew exactly who knew what had happened to her. So, and then the tide turned against them, didn't they? And they became arguidos or suspects, and that's it. They couldn't wait to get out of there then. So, and that's what always happens. You know, people only want the positive media attention. And unfortunately, then with a case like this now, where it started to become apparent that this poor Tom's memory has been used to, you know, further their benefit. Anyway, we're going to have a look now about now. They're talking about the devastating. Oh God, I've got something on my head then. That was very strange. Sorry. So I'm going to turn that off now, because what I want to show you, God, something touched my hair then. Oh, don't tell me Captain Tom's moved in now, as well as Raoul Moat and Ted Bundy. Captain Tom, somebody or something touched my hair then. That was very odd. Very odd. Anyway, so I just want to show you one more thing that might make you see, you know, why. Now, they came, I thought it'd be there in the interview, but I can't see it. Piers Morgan was interviewing them. In that interview, at one point, they halted the interview. So I want to show you that, because they didn't like the questioning. My God, that is so strange. Somebody touched my hair. Anyway, we have to sit through.
Be used in the charity for charitable purposes. That was it. Anything else?
But this is not a charitable purpose.
No.
And when you said to the Times that the Club hadn't profited from branded merchandise, that's not true. It made £809,000 in its first year from branded merchandise.
Can we just stop?
And that's not about protecting. Yeah, but it's not about protecting.
Can we just stop for a second?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is feeling
Can we just
very
stop?
difficult.
Can we just?
Can we stop for a second? This is feeling very difficult.
Can we stop for a second?
Sure.
And
So
stop filming, because this is really unfair.
So
What's unfair?
no. So let us explain off camera.
Well, I'd rather do it on camera.
No. If it's on camera, we're not doing the interview.
There you go. If it's on camera, we're not doing the interview. To be honest, that then just finishes it off for me. That just tells me everything I need to know about the family. When it came to difficult questions, you know, when it came to difficult questions, I can't wait to watch this video back, because something touched me on the head there during that interview. So, Sir Captain Tom, or Captain Sir Tom, you can join with Ted Bundy and Raoul Moat living in my haunted house. But yeah, as soon as it got to a tricky question, then they wanted to turn the cameras off, and she said, "Oh no, this is so difficult." Yeah, they just can't believe they've been caught out. That's my opinion. So anyway, I've presented you with the evidence, if you like. Now it's up to you to make your mind up. And I don't know, Captain Tom, just literally while I was just talking there, you'll see it if you rewind a little bit. Someone or something just went like this on my head, like a little stroke of my hair. Aye, okay. Well, I don't mind being haunted by Captain Tom. If he wasn't annoyed. Maybe he's pissed off with his daughter. I don't know, or maybe he is annoyed. Maybe he would have wanted all this for them and them to have their spa pool, and I don't know. I'm sure Captain Tom, he would have wanted them to have whatever. I mean, I'm not against them having a spa pool, just against them not paying for it themselves. Maybe they could come to some sort of compromise where however much the spa pool cost, they pay that into the charity, even if they pay it in over years of like working for the charity. There's always a compromise. I mean, I do feel for them. I don't know if it's the whole. Is it the whole building that they've got to take down? Let's see. I'm not sure if it's just the pool. Or surely not that whole building they've got. Let's see. So they've lost their appeal. To demolish the pool. So we've watched that. So they've lost the appeal to demolish the pool. So they've got to take the pool away. So I don't think they've got to demolish the whole house, but we'll see. Anyway, I'm sure there's more to come out about this. And now you may have noticed I've got a little blank. Well, it's actually my dressing gown. It's actually a little bit chilly today in the house. I mean, I've got no heater. It's beautiful outside. The sun's out, sun's shining. It's really nice. But it's a little bit chilly in there, unless it's chilly because of all the ghosts hanging around me. I don't know. That's really sort of freaked me out. I'm going to watch that again in a minute. So thank you for watching. As ever, please remember to like if you found this video interesting. Remember to live and love wisely. I'd quite like a spa pool, actually. Perhaps I should set up a charity and try what charity could I have? There's sort of save an old woman charity, give an old woman a spa charity. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you really soon in the next video. Please look after yourself. I know there's a few of you out there that are going through some issues. I'm always thinking about you all. And look after you first, because you are the most important person. And I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, may your God go with you. Bye.